everyone, it's Bonita from Pennies to Dollars, and I call my channel Pennies to Dollars because I believe if you take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. And so we are going to talk today about how to hunker down for winter. We all know that prices have gone up. They've gone up in food. They have gone up in gasoline. They have gone up in home heating costs and electricity. I had not realized, but our base cost for electricity had gone up. And also the amount they charged us per kilowatt hour had also gone up. And so my electric bill was continuing to raise, and I wasn't sure why because I hadn't changed anything, but that was the reason why it had continued to go up. So as winter comes and the holidays are coming, I'm sure we're all a little bit nervous because the prices have been astronomical. We don't know how long it's going to last, and we have more of these things on our horizon coming that are going to cost us money. So let's get started and talk about that today. So when I grew up, we were not allowed to go outside when it was cold without mittens, scarves, coats that were zipped up, tied around the head with a hood. Do you remember those days? And you felt absolutely stupid getting on the bus with a hood tied under your chin. And I have noticed over the last 10 years especially that when I go anywhere, people are still wearing shorts in the winter time. People are not wearing jackets. After practice, the basketball kids are not wearing sweatpants over their shorts. My mother would have killed us if we tried to leave practice and didn't have on sweatpants over our shorts. They always told us you will catch the death of cold. You have to be bundled up. And so all of my generation were scared to even go out and get in the car with our parents that were picking us up if we didn't have on sweatpants. But nowadays, it's all changed because I assume when they're going home, they're walking into a nice, toasty, warm house. They're still wearing shorts and they're not worrying about it. I've even seen the parents wearing shorts through the winter. And I know they're going home to a nice, warm, toasty house. Well, I live in the country. I live in an old farmhouse. We have one propane heater in the living room that basically heats the living room. We have a small space heater that we use in our bedroom upstairs that just takes the chill out of the air, but it never really gets warm. And so we use a mattress pad in the wintertime. We use extra blankets. I have some very thick, heavy, fuzzy blankets that are so heavy sometimes it's hard to even roll over. And this is not a weighted blanket. This is just a heavy, warm blanket that will cook you out of that room. And so these are some of the things that we do here. And I've been known when I'm working from home to be dressed absolutely ridiculous on a cold day. I've got the socks, the house shoes, I've got long sleeve shirt, I've got a sweater, long pants, a scarf, and if it gets really bad, sometimes I have a hat on because it is that cold in my house sometimes when I am working. But I think about the people in those warm, toasty houses, and I think, wow, I wonder what their electric bill is, because I know how much it costs for propane, and it costs quite a few $100s every time I fill my tank, and that is only with us cooking and running that one space heater. I can only imagine what it costs if you actually have a thermostat and if you actually have natural gas with a payment every month that has a base cost whether you use it or not. Right now, our pilot light is not even lit. I don't know when we'll light it. It's supposed to get down in the 40s this next week. I'm hoping we still don't have to light it. I'm hoping it'll still be warm enough in the house that we can get by because everything is so expensive. When I used to buy propane, it used to cost about 50 some cents a gallon. It was way cheaper than gasoline. Well, now it is almost as much as gasoline, and it gets really expensive to fill that tank. So I plan for that 2 to 3 times per year, and that is all I spend on it. And I go out and check my percentages regularly to make sure that we don't run out of propane, especially if we have a holiday coming or I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking. But these are some of the things that I think about the way we used to do things and the way that we do things now, and how maybe over time we've become a little spoiled or put on some blinders and not really thought about the fact that we're not dressing appropriately for the weather outside, and that we could maybe do a little bit better to be able to not spend as much money on those things in our house. And I'm not saying that everybody wants to be cold like me. I don't even want to be cold. I'm normally a cold person. I hate being cold. You can ask my husband. I'm cold sometimes when it is under 90 degrees. I'm cold. But we try really hard not to just get money and then hand it over to someone else. We try really hard to have it pause a while in our possession before we are giving it to other people. And I just see extra electricity being spent and extra heating expense and all of those things that go to run your household as just getting my money and handing it to someone else. And I want to tell you a story about my friend. He told me that he could always tell when things were tight at his house because his wife started shopping at Aldi's, and he would open up the cabinets and start seeing all of these Aldi brand items, so he knew they were running short on money. But what if we ran our house all the time like that? It would make a huge difference in our bank accounts. It would make a huge difference in our comfort level. And it would probably make a huge difference on when we open the cabinet, what we saw in there. If we saw name brands and a few of them, or if we saw Aldi brands and we saw a lot of them. So if we run our houses like Aldi runs their grocery store, what would that look like? When you think about Aldi, they have that 25-cent cart deposit. So they're not paying a person to go out and get the carts, round up the carts, stack the carts, bring the carts back in. And they have you bring your own bags. They don't provide those. So that's an extra savings for them. And when we first started seeing Aldi come to our areas, we looked at them kind of like a warehouse shopping center. No bags. You had to pay the cart deposit. And it seemed like an inconvenience, and it seemed like all of their foods were off-brand. So a lot of people would just go there when things were tight. But yet people will go to Walmart and they're buying the Great Value brand. They're checking themselves out through the checkout so that Walmart doesn't have to pay extra checkers. And we have framed our minds to think that Walmart is the cheapest, when Walmart is not the cheapest. They have basic prices all the time. They don't run specials, and even their stuff on their clearance rack, like I've talked about before in one of my videos about how Walmart tricks you into thinking that they're the cheapest. I will link that video for you. But they will put things on the clearance rack that they haven't even marked down, but they will fool you into putting that clearance price up there and making you think that it's on sale to get rid of their discontinued items or their dented items or things that they don't want to have on their shelf anymore, maybe just a rearranging of what they're going to carry. So I wanted you to think about what it would be like if you ran your house like an Aldi. If you put that investment back into your pockets, if you looked at ways to cut your overhead and to spend less money on things that really did not add value to your home or to your pantry, and maybe that would help us hunker down for winter, get some stock ahead, be able to pay those rising prices when those heating bills come in. Is your money tied up places that you can free that money? This is one thing that I started thinking about a while back. We have a savings account that has a minimum balance, so that money can't be touched or we get charged a fee. We have a money market with a minimum balance. Again, has to have that much money in it, or you pay a fee. We have another savings account with a minimum that you can't touch that balance, or you pay a fee. And we have 3 checking accounts. 2 of them have to have a minimum, or you pay a fee, and one of them has no minimum. So I started thinking, look at all of those minimums that I have tied up in all of those accounts. That's my money that I cannot touch, that I cannot use, that I cannot have to benefit me to stock up or store or even have interest being drawn on that, because I'm just have to keep that minimum in there all the time. What if I consolidated those accounts and stopped those fees, or stopped having all of that money just tied up and sitting there that I can't touch? And would that help me? So maybe look at some of the money that you have tied up, or some of the ways that your money is being spent that is tying it up, and would it benefit you to change some of those things? Now, it's going to be a hassle. I've already closed one of the savings accounts because there was no reason to just have that money sitting there. It wasn't enough to even draw interest, and I was just keeping a little bit above the minimum because it was the first savings account I ever had, and I just didn't touch it when I started opening these other accounts. Maybe think about that, analyze what you're doing in your household, see if that's something that would benefit you. And then as you're thinking about the heating and cooling, like I said, I have an old farmhouse. I don't have super thick windows. I do have air drafts every year that I have to go and check and seal up. And this year, we're going to use bubble wrap over some of our windows that we do not look out of, just as an extra layer. This is something no one is going to see from the outside. It will basically keep people from seeing in if they want to look in that window and that's a window you're not using. And it won't be plastic on the outside of your house to look tacky. A lot of us put plastic on the outside of our houses still here in the country because we do have the older windows and the older houses that are drafty. But maybe bubble wrap would be something that you could try this year. I know some people that live in RVs use foil on the inside of their windows, but I'm gonna switch to the bubble wrap this year, and I'll let you know how that goes. So I think this has taught us to start cooking more at home, start looking at how much waste we really have, look at areas that we can trim the fat in our homes to make things where it's not so difficult for us, and continue to watch our prices and know our prices. That is key to making it through the winter. And so I hope that these thoughts are provoking for you, and I hope that they are helpful and maybe trigger a spark for you to come up with some ways in your own home to try to trim that fat so that it is easier for you to get through the winter. Let me know the things that you're going to try this winter, and I hope to see you in the next video.